The coin I added to the portfolio today is called vEmpire.
And they are the largest decentralized metaverse investment organization in the world.
Hello, everybody, and what a lovely day it is. Let you kick off, and I'll do some button tapping in the background. You know what comes after Roby and Qcoin? When Binance. GAGA, good afternoon. We have another CULT DAO special, even though I've never called it one of those before, but let's call it that, a CULT DAO special. We also have Harry with us, who has some exciting alpha to announce, but I'm not allowed to comment on it just yet. I will save the big reveal for him. Don't want to ruin his mojo. I believe we're also expecting Kyle, but it is quite late for him in Thailand, so I'm not sure if he is here yet, but we do have Harry and Artorias waiting in the wings. Artorias and Harry, there we go. How are the lads?
Hey, how you doing?
CULT lads.
CULT lads.
Yeah, I was gonna say we did have a CULT special, but not with the Bull CEO last time, unfortunately. So now we have the Bull CEO.
Oh, we did have one. We did have original though. I think I had one. I think it was.
There was one with me and Jake.
Oh yes, there was.
Yeah,
wow, Artorias, you have some echo.
You're
Ooh.
Do I?
I think it's on. I think it's just the modulator, but it's just it's not too far away, the echo, so it's not too bad. I think it's just the effect of the modulation. But yeah, for those of us who are in the audience and don't actually know by now, I'm sure if you don't know CULT by now, then I haven't been doing a very good job of talking about CULT. But if you could introduce yourself and your background. Yes, I see the jumper. You pointed to the wrong side. It gets confusing, doesn't it, with this? See,
it does actually. Yeah, I'm like, which way am I going? Like, where is it?
It's like this is how I imagine I would be a terrible weatherman, because that's what they do. So everything that they point at is back to front. So when they're saying like, wait, let's go back here. Then they're saying, oh, so you're going to have a bit of a cloud here and then up here, and they actually do it the opposite way. So they must be ambidextrous, because otherwise that just doesn't compute in my brain. But I got distracted. Introductions, everybody.
Artorias, go ahead. Let you go first, sir.
Okay. Artorias, co-founder of CULT and Revolt, and participant in some other stuff maybe, but that's not for me to talk about. Yeah, we launched CULT on short and sweet. Well, I could say a bit more. We launched CULT on the 1st of Feb, so coming up to our 1-year birthday soon. So yeah, that's exciting.
Nice. So, oh, hey, Kyle.
And in black.
Hey, everybody.
We're just doing introductions. So for everyone that doesn't know me, I'm Harry. I'm a community member in CULT DAO. I do Manifesto Mondays for CULT, and I work in the crypto space. And yeah, that's about it for now, I guess.
Back to you, Cole.
All right, my name is Kyle Chassé, and the founder of Master Ventures. I've been in crypto for it'll be almost 11 years here pretty soon. Yeah, we have a venture studio. We build different products. We used to do a lot more advising and incubation of other people's projects, and you know that has had its pros and cons. But we felt more confident moving forward on building things under our own roof, ideated in-house with teams that are built from our hiring and management. So that's really exciting. And yeah, I was Dom. You shared CULT with me back when it was just it was very, very tiny, and I was excited because it took in the core fundamentals of like the crypto idealism and really put a focus on supporting disruptive ideas and founders, which is something that I love, and that has been my passion, is to see decentralized systems flourish and become de facto. I'd like to see anything that can reasonably be disrupted by a decentralized system be disrupted. And so, people, I feel like a lot of people that are in the crypto space have kind of either lost sight of what our core fundamentals are, or never learned them in the first place. More than likely, they never learned them in the first place. And that's and so I try to support anyone really working on something that's critical to the infrastructure and the systems that we use, to make the space a better place to hang out in, with far less corruption and kind of a bad reputation. And I'm a guardian for CULT as well. I made several videos on it, and I guess I was a bit more active when I wasn't so busy working on things that I'm doing now. So I haven't been extremely active in the community recently, but I support when I can, and I'm happy to be here.
Good stuff. Tell you what, pros and cons of advisory. I know those well. The pros are, if it does well, you might earn a bit of cash. The cons are, if it does well, it's never down to anything you did, and if it goes badly, it's all your fault. I know how that goes on the occasion. But yeah, for those who are watching the show and came here due to seeing it shared, I'm Dominic Ryder. I'm the CEO of VEMP. I was I still am a guardian at CULT. I help out mainly on the market making side by introducing CULT to my market makers, who then make sure that there's no sort of bad price impact on any exchanges or anything, and work with like bots and all of this complicated liquidity stuff, which is very misunderstood. But effectively, it's to try and stop arbitrage or dumping into decentralized pools from centralized exchanges. But yeah, thanks for being there, everyone. We've got a bit of I'm not sure when the alpha is coming from Harry, but beforehand, the blockchain that you are launching, definitely want to hear how progress is going on that. What is it? Is it layer 1? Is it layer 2? What is ZK, etc.? I guess Artorias, you're best placed.
Yeah, we're making good progress. So it's a layer 2 zero knowledge EVM. So it's compatible with Ethereum. So it sits on top of the Ethereum virtual machine using zero knowledge technology, which effectively is a way of transactions being verified without necessarily sharing the data within the transaction. So not only does it roll up transactions onto a layer 2 and batch them before putting them on the layer 1 to reduce fees drastically compared to Ethereum, but it also, the end goal is an increase in privacy and not sharing your data with people that you might not want to share that data with. And that's not necessarily like trying to hide what you're doing because it's unethical. It's kind of keeping your data off centralized servers, etc. So being allowed to move freely without worrying about having your data farmed out to the highest bidder. And that's one of the main reasons for it. But progress has been going well. We recently announced that we've had localized versions running, and we're hoping that very soon we can start sharing some testnet footage, a look at the block explorer, as well as hopefully soon after that being able to share the ability for people to test the testnet themselves as well and play around with it, and we can figure all the bugs and iron out the kinks and stuff. So we're hoping that there's going to be some serious stuff that we can share.
Or is there a name for it yet?
There is a name for it. Yeah, it hasn't been divulged yet. It's not CULT chain. It's got a little more pizzazz than that, but not sharing it quite yet.
Yeah, you share that and you'll get little, whatever the name is, coin coming out, and you'll get all sorts coming out beforehand.
Oh yeah,
Claiming.
Dexter's will be all over that. You can see there'll be like there'll be hundreds popping up straight away, and then there'll be whatever it is, Inu, whatever it is, baby, all of the classics. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's inevitable, isn't it? I think I remember when Revolt was coming out, I must have had 10 different like Ethereum-based Revolts land, just like scam, like dusting ones where they send it out and bulk send it to everyone, just in anticipation.
That was the stupid thing, was that all these shitcoin versions of it were coming out on Ethereum when actually Revolt was on Polygon, which made no sense, and that shows how little effort scammers actually put in. But yeah, it's going to blow. It'll blow my mind that all these people will launch these absolute shitcoin versions of it, but they haven't thought through the fact that we've told everyone already that there's not going to be another token. So yeah,
people like to dream.
Don't be fooled. Yeah, don't be fooled.
Stay vigilant.
So the people validating, the validators will earn cults. Is that right?
Yeah. So yeah, the idea being it's all transacted in CULT. All the native token and the gas token is all in CULT.
Yeah, validation, and I guess there's a line between how much you want to burn and then how much can be given to validators. I mean, it's a very large community, because I know the intention was to burn pretty much all of it. I guess there's just a line between how many community validators you can get in order to, because obviously the community would more than happily validate for maybe a smaller amount of CULT, but see more burn, because obviously they're an active holder, versus opening it up to the mass market. I guess there's arguments for what's more decentralized. Actually, you know what? I was thinking that if you don't pay enough, then obviously it might not be as decentralized. But I mean, there's an argument surely that if you take away the larger financial incentive, then you take away the commercial aspect, and therefore you take away the incentive for big corporates to take over, like how Coinbase has so much and other corporates have so much of Ethereum, that now they've got over 51% if enough did decide to comply with any orders. So interesting tightrope to walk.
It's definitely a fine line, because there has to be, obviously, so most layer 2s like Polygon, they take a cut for themselves because they have a foundation. So CULT's not going to do that. So CULT itself isn't going to benefit from taking a slice of the action. It's going to, any portion that would be will be burned. However, we do need to make sure that people that are validating it have a reason to make the effort of, taking themselves out of the current ecosystem and, making the effort of bridging over and being a validator to try and increase the decentralization aspect. So yeah, you're right. It is a fine line that needs plenty of thought.
Are there any specific projects? I mean, obviously the portfolio of CULT is massive. For those who aren't aware, that I believe there's a dashboard on June Analytics. I'm not sure what it's called off the top of my head, but I'm sure it's in like the social medias or on the website. But have you given any thought, or have you had people commit to launching on the chain, or saying or stating their intent even?
There's definitely been a lot of soft commitments. It's been discussed. I haven't discussed it directly with a huge amount of them, but I've heard a lot from some of the other Guardians who have come back and said that the projects that they've contacted are interested. There's a couple I know. I believe it's History Token. I think Mr. C was talking with them, and they're very keen to launch. There's some talk about M87, but I'm not sure if they really want to yet. Haven't spoken to them directly. 3.0 DAO, who are one of our early proposals, they are umming about it. So there's interest there. And another thing that we want to do is we want to try and incentivize people to actually purpose build stuff for the chain. So not just relying on trying to get people over onto our chain as like in addition, but to actually purpose build stuff on our chain, you know, as in launching their projects on the chain. So that's kind of a big thing we want to push. And I think the proposal system is a good way that we can do that too. It could almost function like a grant system. And yeah, that's kind of the direction we want to go. Wisterverse, I can see someone in the comments says Wisterverse, and I'm pretty sure they also were very keen to do it too. So yeah, there's definitely interest out there.
So I can't remember if you said this, or sometimes I read stuff and I can't remember if it's speculation, but is Revolt the first token then launching on CULT chain?
Yeah, so Revolt will be the first token. We're still in discussion about finding the utility for it, the right utility, rather than just having it there just for the sake of it being on the chain. But yeah, we're still working on how we can incorporate it in a meaningful way.
Interesting.
Is there any progress on like I presume that it will work via some sort of bridge? Is that going to be built in-house, or is there like a third party you're working with? For example, then we use Boring DAO as our bridge. Are you producing that yourselves, or are you working with any partnerships? God, I sound like I'm win partnership.
So we're going to build we'll have a very basic bridge. So this is the thing, is we don't want it to be a situation where we launch this token, chain, and then we're the only ones that have got anything on it. We want to encourage people to build on this chain, and so to that effect, there'll be a basic bridge to get people over onto the chain, and more likely also a DEX of some description. It's a very basic one, like a Uniswap fork, nothing fancy. So we kind of want to leave it as a blank canvas, so to speak, for people to come and build.
Stable coins are the most important aspect of having a blockchain have the usability. Have you managed to get any? I know that there's a few of the pre-appointed guardians that are fairly close to sort of ETH community, like Manu. Obviously, David Hoffman's not dead, but he sort of knows his way around. And sort of some of the others like that. And if you had a chance to speak to them, or like try and get in touch with maybe like Make a DAO for like, see if like you could get DAI on the chain, that would be probably the most decentralized one anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely something we've thought about. I've spoken to Oren a few times, Oren McMillan, about it, who's I can't remember if he's the founder or if he just works at Gnosis, but yeah. And there's we've got a group with a few of the big brain guardians, like Chris Jones as well. So we definitely want to reach out to that kind of proper Ethereum maxi kind of, the people that have been around for a while and building a lot of stuff. And I think ETH Denver will be a good opportunity for us to talk directly with those people. And I think that's happening next year, early next year, hopefully around a similar time that we can start we start making some serious progress and maybe having a launch date in sight. But it will be good for us to, talk directly with a lot of these big names in the Ethereum community and see if we can onboard a lot of those.
I met someone from Lido when I was in Lisbon at the Solana event. See if we can get Lido cult chain. You call it what do they call it? It's STE. If you could get like CTE or CT Sol or whatever. One thing I was going to say, I've literally lost it from my head now. That was it. I know that the speculation, I know that the confirmation is that the plan is to try and launch it in Q1. The speculation is that's what's going to be on the 1-year anniversary that's been talked about. I think I saw in fact, one of the team at VEMP shared something that I also saw, which I thought was absolutely mental, was I think on Sunday, Pancake Swap across the whole thing had only $250,000 of volume in 24 hours, which is like literally awful. Like I didn't think that would be possible. Is there a certain sort of time? Is the timing just as soon as it's out, it's going to launch? Or, I mean, I personally, I know exactly what communities are like. If you say that you're planning on doing, even if you give it 20 caveats that you don't want to launch in the bad market, or if it's not ready, you're not going to launch it, you still get tons of grief. But considering that you want to have eyeballs on it, if the market is in the same sort of low volume, everybody's so scared that it is now, will you push that back a bit, or what's the plan there?
It's not something I've given too much thought to at this stage. I think everyone has to be aware that, of course, we give estimations on, like, the estimated time we've given, which was around Q1. That is that's when we expect mainnet to be available and able to be pushed, but by no means are we saying it's going to be out then, because like you said, you don't want to be launching into a market where there's absolutely zero volume and no incentive for people to build things and take the cost of developing projects for a chain that's brand new, and they're not sure what's happening with Ethereum and all of that, even the mega caps and things. So although we obviously want to give people what they want and give it to them as soon as we can, there's we won't give any sort of true confirmation until much closer to the time.
Fair enough. I'm sure it still won't save you from all of the whens. But yeah, you mentioned ETH Denver. Before I pass over to Alpha Harry, give us the all-encompassing Alpha.
I've still got questions for you yet, Dom.
Oh, crikey. There we go. I didn't expect that. Usually I'm the one asking all the questions. But Artorias, so is there anything else that you can share? You've already mentioned that ETH Denver's coming up. Is there anything else? When roadmap? When partnerships?
Not that I can think of at the moment. Not that I could give at the moment.
This is what it feels like on Manifesto Mondays, by the way, talking to Artorias in front of everyone.
Yeah, because you asked me the same question. You asked me the same question, which is when Alpha.
Exactly.
I'm glad we're finally on an interview where you're the one that's getting asked when Alpha.
When Alpha.
Absolutely.
Give it.
So have VEMP been thinking about CULT Chain at all? Are they looking to build on CULT Chain, or have they had thoughts about it or anything?
So I was wondering about this. We do have we are currently updating our game, and I was wondering about potentially launching the game and having Cult enabled for it, because essentially the game will almost certainly be played mostly on BSC at the moment because it's the other chain that we're on with low fees. So no one would really be playing it on the ETH side. We were going to launch the game on Polygon. Now I'm not so sure. I think we were going to stick to the BSC, but if we are going to, obviously our metaverse token staking pools are, there to support metaverses, and at the moment there's not even a chain yet, let alone metaverses to invest in onto it. So if there is an application, it will be definitely enabling like people to play the game on the blockchain. There's no plans for like a staking pool or anything yet, because there needs to be a big enough assets for us to buy in that sector. But definitely thought about it for our game, and there's no reason why we wouldn't be able to, since it is EVM, we would just be able to like copy and paste. I'm not sure of the timeframes and everything, but certainly I have thought about it, and we'll see how realistic it is and how much demand there is for it.
Oh, interesting. That question was inspired by one of your biggest admirers. You can probably guess who that is.
What was it? God.
It is, and it's his birthday today, so happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday.
That guy loves Cult, Revolt, and VEMP. That's it.
Manifesto.
Exactly. But yeah, interesting. Cool. Could probably get. Oh no, actually, I just remembered as well. There's a lot of people that have been tagging Kyle actually and asking Kyle, you're not talking about Cult Chain. What do you think about Cult? And I'm thinking Kyle is invested in Cult, and he's been talking about it a bit. Obviously, he's been really busy. So we'd love to hear your thoughts. Obviously, what you think about Cult Chain and how that can impact what it could do for Cult as well.
I think that it's interesting because you're playing a game of idealists and fundamentalists versus an easier path. What I mean is that this new L2 from Cult is essentially bootstrapped with probably no venture funding, meaning there's probably not going to be a bunch of money for grants and ecosystem growth and VCs that are investing capital and only Cult Chain types of dApps and things like that. So that's gonna be an uphill battle. But as the world starts to become more educated and as regulations get more difficult and people really who are inspired to build like really disruptive things that need a degree of privacy and censorship resistance, if Cult Chain can provide the things that protect developers from centralized censorship, then it's a really strong value proposition, and because the team is pseudonymous, it's much more difficult for them to come after a centralized figurehead and say, hey, we need you guys to censor somebody, or like you better require KYC for this, because you don't, like, you're gonna get in trouble, whatever. So I think that's one of the coolest things about Cult so far, is that we just don't know who's behind the project, and that's super valuable, especially when you have infrastructure that's going to provide these really important aspects for dApps and DAOs and things like that. DeFi that really threatens kind of legacy systems. Because regulators are going to want even DeFi applications that aren't really decentralized or have some degree of censorship to start doing KYC and stuff like that. They're going to try to create Web 2.5, is what they would like to see everybody, like some degree of innovation, but enough to control, to make sure that people aren't, essentially people are just avoiding paying taxes, is what they really care about, right? Is how do they tax everything. And And so the most innovative and most useful things I think that will be invented probably will be things that really threaten these legacy systems and therefore face severe scrutiny in the future. And so I think that from an economic perspective, it'll be a slower start. Like I don't think that we're going to get a huge amount of people building on the chain. Also, because liquidity is going to be very difficult. You're not, where are you going to find? How are you going to incentivize people to start adding LP, liquidity to the DEX? That's going to be difficult. And so, if a developer really loves the idea of cold chain, but is also kind of aware of the challenges of building on a new ecosystem, then they're probably going to want to be multi-chain, meaning that like they'll exist on cold chain, but the majority of the liquidity probably will not be there, and the majority of the user base may or may not choose to execute transactions there. I really think that what CULT is doing right now is interesting and will really shine in the next bull market, because things will get kicked off again, and because CULT built in this culture of really being cult-like and having a really loyal and eager type of community that is amplified times 1,000 in a bull market, because there is this degree of like memeability and just outlandishness that really does well. And so I think that there's a right degree of seriousness, professionalism, and some sort of meme culture involved in CULT, and I think that's going to shine in the bull market. And because it has that aspect of that memeability, people will just once it's popular, because of just it being CULT, once it has people are buying it just because people are wearing masks all over the place, and like it's just one more thing. Like for all they know, it's like it's SHIB and Doge, but they know that there's like some extra cool utility to it, and maybe they understand it, maybe they don't, but it's cool. And so therefore, like that alone, I think has the ability for some sort of adoption. And hopefully, hopefully as people become more educated as a whole, to blockchain and the core fundamentals, and people start understanding token economics, and people start, this will take time, but I think that people will eventually get there. I think today, probably, I would say less than 2% of people in crypto, including VCs, actually truly understand token economics. Like it's a very small fraction of people that actually understand what they're investing into. But I think that eventually, maybe in 10 years from now, probably everyone will understand it. It'll be just common knowledge, and when that happens, the value proposition will become stronger and more apparent. And so, I think that, like I said, I think it's probably not something that's going to skyrocket overnight, but I think that, really solid developers that are building really solid technology, hopefully that have a sense of how to get their product out there, how to distribute the news and the messaging. They would probably like to build on something like this, and it just takes it really just takes actually one killer app that the Web3 space hasn't even seen yet, because we don't have anything that's massively used on a global audience. But when we have something that takes off, that's, let's just say, a decentralized Uber, where like literally it works exactly the same as Uber, but because you remove the middlemen, there's more value created that's kept within the ecosystem, and drivers make more money per ride. This is exactly right, and passengers pay less money on that ride. That's a better value proposition for everybody, and they would all use this as long as the user experience feels very similar to Uber. And you can do that with a lot of technology that's been built today. Removing things like gas and stuff from the equation. Like this is interesting, and if you can get something that does take off one day, then you have a tremendous amount of volume. You have like a lot of usage and daily active users. I think Ethereum does something like on average about 450,000 active wallets a day. So that considering that most people have a couple of wallets, like you're talking about daily active users of 200,000-300,000 people every day on Ethereum. Like that's not a lot, right? Like most enterprise apps or popular apps in the App Store have way more daily active users than the Ethereum blockchain does. And so I think that it's important for us to keep in mind that often people are deceived by marketing that, you know, an ecosystem with a bunch of logos on their infographic that says, oh, Solana ecosystem, and you got like, you know, 500 logos there. But how many of those actually have daily active users? Probably not, mostly none of them, right? No, none of them, none of those 500 logos actually have daily active users. And so it doesn't necessarily require a huge amount of people building on it. It just requires something that is built there that demands, has a high amount of demand and utility. So so I think that people aren't thinking about this enough when they're looking at different infrastructure. And then they're not understanding, like we frame things in our minds of people who live in a crypto bubble, right? But when we compare ourselves to the Web 2 world and how much adoption that has, we don't even like, you know, we're just a speck, right? Like nothing at this point. So it doesn't really matter if, you know, Solana had a huge start, or Polygon or whatever that have 1,000, you know, dApps being built on it. It's really going to take, you know, making sure that we attract the right type of people that are focused on, you know, how to build a quality product that is super useful to people on a massive scale, that is easy enough to use, that can get adopted on a large scale. And I think that you know, there's plenty of room for that to happen on any chain right now. And I think that as people understand the core tenets of decentralization and crypto ideals, like they will be attracted to CULT chain, and I think that is a good long-term play.
Yeah,
I think there's 2 points. There's 2 points there which I think are really valid, which is the fact that we don't have that like huge backing, which is often accompanied with like Polygon. I think they sold, they had like a seed or private sale round of like 400 million. But what people don't understand is that $400 million is locked up in their tokens, which at some point are released on the market. And that's a dangerous thing down the line, is to have, it's great to get huge amounts of backing like Polygon had, but at the end of the day, at some point, those VCs that invested in that, they're going to come for their return. And if you look at, kind of segueing into the second point on the same vein, which is with Polygon, if you look at their volume and their users compared to how much they raised, it's crazy that they raised that much when, you know, Revolt was trending as their #1 token for like 6, 7, 8 weeks on the trot, and it never even got above like a 35 million market cap. That shows you what the volume is like on a chain that had all of that backing. And I feel if we can show that we're doing something differently, and we have the community behind us that want to participate, why can't we compete with those numbers, in my opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that the community and moving people across to the chain is definitely going to be the major aspect. And the fact that CULT has never even seen a bull market, I mean, some could argue that it launched 1st of Feb or 31st of January. So technically, I mean, it was the final like end stages, and then what was it, like just after like mid-February, then Russia invaded Ukraine. I guess that is sort of where I put the start of the bear market at. Just stuff dropped, and then everything got a little bit shit.
We didn't even take off till like March, though, to be honest. Remember, it was just flatlined for it. Actually, it was below pre-sale, I think, initially for a month.
Yeah, it did. Did get to. I see people put like figures, but I think they're not as low. Like it got to. I remember the lowest I remember seeing it was 600K market cap.
I think it was
what I'd do for that now.
Close to 300. I think it's close to 300K at one point.
Really?
Wow.
Or maybe I'm thinking fully diluted. Yeah.
Could be.
But,
literally the day before it started mooning, for whatever reason, it was 300K. It went all-time low to all-time high in like 10 days.
See, I remember why it dropped down so low. Somebody, right? Somebody who bought 10 wallets worth at the pre-sale, so 10 Ethereum at the pre-sale, dumped it all the day before it started pumping, and that 10 Ethereum, so that was like 13 billion ish was what we got for our ETH when we invested in the pre-sale.
Wow.
So that person had 100 billion, which at all-time high would have been worth like $8 million or more.
I think it's a bit more.
All the day before.
That's mad. Wow.
You got a feel for that person. I wonder if they must know. Like, if they knew, they must have like seen it since. But yeah, I mean, it's always like there's always someone unlucky who times it wrong. But yeah, I mean, it launching on the chain. I mean, I guess, yeah, it's a difficult one because I was going to say I'll commit to launching something on CULT chain, but at the same time, it's hard because having an existing token, if you launch another one, people just immediately think, oh, you're abandoning the other one, or they think it's a cash grab or anything like that, which is a bit of a hindrance, to be honest. I think I even saw like CZ like tweet like, don't trust developers who have more than one project. And it's a bit like, well, there's not many of us, and if there's good ideas, then it's a bit shooting yourself in the foot a bit. There's only so many like people who want to develop on blockchains, and then to say, oh, don't trust them if they launch more than one. Obviously, there's a reason they say that, because some people will. Well, then again, it's always Bitcoin dev will launch like 10 tokens of like the same thing, Bitcoin. But if you're building something with actual utility, then like, you know, why shouldn't you be able to launch more than one? Like, it's like people saying to Richard Branson, can you stop, you know, making those businesses now, please? It's getting a bit much. Like, they're all different. Or like Elon Musk, SpaceX. Like, people, when he launched SpaceX, no one said, can you stop? You've got Tesla, look after that. Now people are starting to say a bit more because he's got Twitter, like Tesla, like SpaceX. But yeah, it's one of these backwards things where, again, it's like CEOs, if they like cash in the stock market, they just like put a report to the SEC, and then people even like celebrate it, or when they buy, like it gets announced to the market, etc. But in crypto, it's so the other way around. But hopefully, as people mature, they'll realize that as long as it's not like, you know, 10 tokens just for the sake of it, you can actually have people, you know, have more than one commitment, believe it or not. Speaking of more than one commitment, Harry, you dodged the alpha.
I've not dodged anything. I thought, let's put you and Artorias on the spot as much as I could, but it didn't really work. It doesn't work with user pros. But yeah, let's go then. Let's talk. Okay.
Come on, let's go.
Cool. So here it goes. So
you look nervous.
I am a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie, because I've worked on this for ages. So obviously, after months of extensive planning and deliberating, I'm delighted to announce Walletport. So Walletport is a protocol that has been created to ensure that you're protected from circumstances beyond your control. So we've all obviously ventured into the crypto space with the intention of making money. Intentions, of course, might not be limited to making profit.
Right. Pop-up.
Yeah. Yep.
Bottom right corner. It's a little pop-up.
Yep. And obviously, we sometimes invest in projects that we love as well, that may have utility as well as making money. So as the DeFi space faces continuous threats, obviously this year there have been huge threats, and DeFi has been on a bit of a knife edge. There's a need for more utilities to protect our hard-earned assets. As everyone knows, it's imperative to retain self-custody for the assets. So we're building a protocol that will ensure you have additional peace of mind. It will operate as a safety net in the event of uncontrollable, unfortunate circumstances, such as you or your loved one passing away, or if, for example, you was to lose your seed phrase, Walletport would have your assets covered. So I'm extremely happy to announce our team: Dom, head of strategy; Artorias, head of tech. Artorias doesn't have his camera on, obviously. And we've got Kyle as our advisor. A versatile team with an abundance of experience and knowledge. It's our belief that we can deliver a key utility that's required within this space. And there you have it. That's Walletport in a nutshell.
And what's the ticker?
Oh, you thought of a ticker. You know what? He was sitting there and we're talking about actual like stuff, and he goes, "I've thought of a ticker." And I'm not even thinking about the token yet. And well, what is it, Dom?
It's Wallop, WALP. So Walletport. You would have like something like Wall or like something like that, but WALP is just as good as any acronym of Walletport, but Wallop for short. Easy. Close. It's a nice word to say. Wallop.
Yeah, it's a big day, obviously.
Now we've announced it. That is now it. There's no going back.
Dom, honestly, I can't even say anything. But yeah, but yeah, it's I've been working on this for quite a while now. Obviously, with the support of yourselves, it's actually got to this stage. And I kind of want to say something, and I'll probably put an article about this because it kind of means a lot to me. So I know everyone talks about CULT being a funding mechanism in the space, but obviously I've been around CULT from, I'd probably say, a month in when the token launched. Apart from it just being a funding mechanism, for me, it's been a place where I've connected with people, where we can build. And I want to encourage other people that have ideas to come together, because it, like, obviously we have a saying in CULT, right? The many. It only happens with the many, and with good people coming together to put a project together. So yeah, it's more than just a funding or a decentralized VC, as some people might see it. There's a lot more to CULT, and that's why our community is really strong. Yesterday we were on Spaces, and someone asked me and Bubs if we had bots because we get so much engagement, right? And we were like, no, it's because we all support each other, right? And everyone likes engaging in CULT tweets and stuff, which is vital. And people want to learn from CULT and want to actually implement that sort of engagement in their DAOs. So that's a compliment to CULT, honestly, and the community itself.
I'm going to tweet out about Wallop right now.
Wallet.
Walletport.io. Is that what we got here before I share it and send them? Oh, check out Dex Tools. There's already about 17 wallops.
Mr. Cultmander says Wallop Inu is on live new pairs already. We've already got people asking for the contract address.
Yeah, CA. When CA.
Yeah, just to tell everyone, by the way, so nothing has been released and it will be announced on official channels only. So don't fall for any NFT drops or token pre-sales or anything like that unless it's on the official channels. As you can see, I don't know which corner it is on mine, but it's on one of the corners at the bottom.
Sure.
Right. I'm not even used to this, so it's on one of the corners.
Literally, it's a good thing that Cole's screen just literally filling half of his thing.
He's actually sat on the right side though. That's good.
Yeah. And it didn't even change. Once it popped up, it looked like it was natural. You'd been told about it.
Yeah, so follow the official channels, and if you're not sure, just pop in and ask, because in markets, in any sort of market, you've got people that obviously like to prey on people that are looking for tokens and stuff. So yeah, I don't want anyone to lose any money.
Admins will never DM you first.
Yes, there will not. So yeah, definitely. I'm probably going to get a load of pop-up Harrys now on Telegram. I already had one, and I messaged the guy and told him he had a nice picture, and he blocked me. He was using my picture, and he blocked me.
Yeah, I've learned my mistake from that. As in, I used to, whenever I get like scams or like spam or something, I used to think, well, I'll be as much of a dick as possible, and I'll try and screw with them as much as I can. But the problem is that if they block you and report you, you're the one who gets you can't reach out to anyone on Telegram for 7 days because you've called out a scammer and they blocked you before you blocked them. So now unfortunately, as much as I love to give scammers shit when they message me on Telegram, I don't bother messing with them anymore, because for 2 weeks I couldn't reach out to anyone, and it's annoying. It's really annoying getting put in Telegram jail. So yeah, one of them.
I'm glad you told me that, because I had blocked that guy and reported him, but no one got back to me from Telegram. But you're right, if someone does it next time to me beforehand, then it's not worth it, because there's a lot of problems that we have.
There's this bot thing that's I can't remember what it's called, but you ask why you've been banned, and then it says release me, and then you click that and it says that gives you the timescale, and they get a day longer every time. But I think I'm up to 10 days or something like that. I was blocked for the first time from messaging mutual contacts before VEMP even launched as a token because I was giving abuse to someone who stole 1,400 quid. I got done for my first ever scam in crypto. Like 2 weeks before my token launch, I was buying some ads, some banner ads launching the token. And it was like, at the time, it was like, I think I'd raised like, well, I say raised, the only funding I'd had for VEMP was 20k GBP from my father-in-law. And like 2k of that was gone from the scammer. And I was absolutely furious. Like I was sending all sorts. So obviously when he blocked me, even though he stole my money, Telegram just sees that and they think that you're the one who's like, you know, being threatening. Well, I was being very threatening, but he deserved it. That's the most important thing. But yeah, so word to the wise, you got all of this awful stuff to come. But don't worry, we'll be here for you.
What's that, sorry?
Don't worry, we'll be here for you. And are you building it on CULT Chain?
What's that, sorry?
And are you building it on CULT Chain?
It's a good question. I'm not going to lie. I have thought about it, but only if I can provide good utility for it, then I will. So it's a conversation that obviously I can have with head of tech. So there's no issues.
Maybe Harry, you can give a bit more insight on like how things will function. You know, so essentially it will be an interface or an app where I can essentially assign or give authorization for my wallet to auto send all of my assets to another address if it's inactive for a certain period of time. Is that more or less how it works?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so it's a time lapse, and once that time lapse, but if you interact with the protocol, then it kind of it'll reset that. So that's like the gist of it. Obviously, there's a couple of variations to interact with the protocol itself. I'm still waiting on confirmation on a couple of things before kind of saying that just now, just to ensure that everything's all teed off. But yeah, so the general idea is that you connect with the DApp or the protocol on the website, connect your wallet, and you have some, you can select like your tokens or NFTs that you want to protect. And that way you select the wallet that you want it to go to once the time lapses. And if you don't interact with it and you're locked out for whatever reason, or no one interacts with that wallet, it'll go to that beneficiary wallet. So it's a bit of a safety net.
It's a good idea. Very good idea. I would ask a bit more about the mechanics, but I know there's a lot to iron out still. Do you have any estimations on like what are the next steps, I guess, when roadmap?
Yeah, so what we're wanting to do is build out the MVP. So we have something that we can show to the community before we go out, like doing our any sort of raise through, like initial idea is to have an NFT mint for it. We may, I wasn't going to actually say this today, but seeing I was a little bit overexcited, I might as well. We may do a little bit of a pre-sale for the NFTs for the early folks that get in or are wanting in. And we're going to build out the MVP and then have the actual mint. So it's up to yourselves if you want to get in the pre-sale or not. There'll be a discount to get into the pre-sale, obviously. So we're going to build out the MVP and we're going to stress test it, do some bug bounties, make sure everything's fully functioning before the once that's done, then the protocol is going to be rolled out. There's going to also be a profit sharing mechanism in there, which is going to be attached to the token. So, and that's coming from actual money that's going to so I'm actually going to end up speaking about the whole ecosystem here now. So it's hard not to when you're speaking about certain parts.
This is take notes. This is how you get alpha for your next manifesto.
This is how you get alpha. Yeah. You never go on a call with Dom, Artorias, and Kyle who know how to get it out of you. So so basically there's going to be a profit sharing mechanism in there where there's going to be where people are going to pay. So there's two ways to utilize the protocol. One is through the NFT. The other one is to pay a monthly subscription. and there's going to be profit sharing from the monthly subscriptions for the stakers of the token holders. So it's no like inflated token, or it's not coming from thin air or anything. It's actual profit sharing, and a percentage of that would go to stakers for the token. So, and the NFT holders basically get to utilize the protocol fee-free for life. So that's the utility of the NFTs. Or if you don't want any part of the like the crypto ecosystem, you just want to pay monthly and utilize it, then you could do that as well. So it's kind of some people might just want to be like, oh, we can't be bothered with the NFT or the token, but we want to use the utility that can pay monthly for that. Or if you want part of all of it, and you can do that as well. So you can have as much exposure or as little exposure as you want in the ecosystem.
There you go. Leon Gillis. Leon Gillis says, "Why should others build on Colt when you are not?" Red flag.
You've already got
classic question.
You've got your first fund, and it's not.
You
announced it 2 minutes
ago.
You've already got someone flooding.
That's it. So,
yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, I'm not against it, and I'm not saying no. I'd obviously like to sit down and see how we would incorporate that into CULT chain. So yeah, I mean, CULT chain's not even out yet, so it depends on timelines and everything. So we've got to wait and see what's happening. So yeah, not writing anything off.
Well, the thing is, obviously, CULT chain's not launched yet, and when it does launch, it's going to have. It's at the moment, Ethereum has every token under the sun, so it would make sense that you would protect your assets on that. Whereas, I don't know what the timelines exactly how it will line up, but I mean, if your only tokens that you have on CULT chain when it goes live are CULT and Revolt, most of your portfolio is likely going to be on Ethereum still, so it needs to make sense, doesn't it?
No, absolutely.
I don't know that if I'm just thinking about it from an architecture perspective, my guess is that the actual protocol itself, probably the interaction with like the token and which ecosystem it lies on, it probably just needs to check to see that that this wallet or address has these tokens like staked or this NFT, and if it does, like it allows it to continue using the service. So I don't know that it necessarily needs to have like be on the same chain as the rest of the assets in which lie in that wallet, and you would guess that this is like would be multi-chain. Obviously, you'd want to be multi-chain moving forward. I'm not sure, but that's my initial thoughts without speaking to devs. But that's what I would think. But it would be good to just be on multiple chains if you can. If it's really just about verifying that someone has X or doesn't has X or has paid Y or hasn't paid Y, because again, if you're saying that like they can just pay fiat for the service and still have it to protect their wallets, and then obviously it doesn't matter which chain the actual token sits on, and like it would make sense to be on multi-chain, right? Like on Ethereum for people who really just want the ease of liquidity and be able to maybe trade big volume without having a lot of slippage or something, or users who really care about their privacy and want to have anonymous and sovereign wallets and want to have that privacy hidden within everything that they do. They would definitely obviously rather transact and receive rewards on CULT chain versus like Ethereum, for example. So I think that's something to consider.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. We definitely thought about multi-chain, so it's definitely something, it's work in progress, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, everyone always like, for example, even when I have stable coins, I wonder which chain to store them on, especially now in the current market conditions. So I think even like, I don't think it's even like FUD to say like, I don't store my stable coins on BSC because I trust Ethereum more. So that's not like discounting any other chain. It's just that even BUSD, I store it on ERC because I know that that's who mints it on that side. So I don't think it says anything about like why do this if X isn't doing that? I mean, you literally, you have to go by popularity and by demand. You can't just do it to appease like whatever it is that makes you think that you need to do it. As in, if there is assets to protect on one chain more than another chain, then you go to that chain first. If the protocol is led by the chain, they inevitably just end up bridging to something else. You see it all the time with I saw some of these games that were launching on OEC, launching on Neo. Inevitably, they just end up bridging back to BSC, because after the layer ones, after the bull market goes, even PancakeSwap having 250k volume on a Sunday, 24-hour, is abysmal. And that's nothing against the chain. It's just that the eyes aren't there. So I can only imagine the volumes that you're getting on Neo or on KCS chain or OEC. So it's just common sense really. But of course that doesn't necessarily. So we have this team that is associated with CULT and they're not building on CULT. There's nothing to protect. It's a protocol that protects assets. Why would we build it on a chain that has no assets when there are chains with assets? Very simple.
Yeah, there's a difference. There's a difference between not building it directly on the launch of the chain and building it later on when the chain is, functioning well and busy.
And there's actually something to protect on it, rather than protecting.
Yeah. Absolutely. People hold assets because they anticipate them assets are going to be more valuable. And the reason why I'm building this is because I want people to be able to protect them assets, and we can only protect what's out there for now. So that's the simple answer. And we're definitely not writing it off. It's a matter of crossing that bridge when we get to it.
Well, the beauty of the CULT chain being in the EVM as well is that it's really quite a simple task to fork anything off Ethereum and put it onto our chain as well. So it's literally a case of it being let's say this launches before the CULT chain does. CULT chain could go live, and then in a few days' time, you could have it on the new chain. So I think that there's no point reading so deep into this when it's not that deep.
Definitely not. Been a very interesting session and talk, and getting the alpha. I personally can't wait for Wallop. And for everyone, see on the I don't know whether it's for everyone else. For me, it's on the bottom left. It's here. But below Kyle's thing, there we go. So you've got the Telegram is just /Walletport. Port is in PORT, as in the drink. And then you've got the actual announcement channel, which is just Walletport channel. And then you've got the Twitter, which is @Walletport. And then you've got the website at walletport.io. So go and check it out. Don't trust anyone who DMs you, because admins wouldn't DM first. And don't trust any new pairs on DEX tools until you see it on one of those channels. But yeah, thanks so much for joining, everyone. And
we've got Gathering of the Guardians as well on Friday, just to put that out there.
Fair enough. Where is that? And
Twitter Spaces, I can't remember the time now. I think it's 1:30 a.m. for me, but I'm in Dubai, so whatever time, 4 hours back, UK time, 9:30, is it? UK time, UTC.
I think I won't be there because I have the VEMP Christmas party.
Nice. So if anyone else that can make it, anyone else, please do, and I'll see you all there. Thank you very much for this as well.
I have a quick question, Artorias. What's gonna when CULT chain goes live? Is there going to be a token swap? No.
So it will be a case of bridging CULT liquidity over. So there's not going to be any new tokens or anything like that. We don't want to artificially start inflating you know, it's there to add more utility to CULT as well. So it will be a case of bridging over to the new chain.
Yeah, I was just
So no new tokens, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just wondering about yeah. So you'll still have so it'll be multi-chain as well. It'll be on its own native chain, I guess, but a wrapped version of it. So the token will still live on Ethereum then, but there'll be a wrapped version on CULT chain.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean that eliminates any type of FUD about starting over with a new contract and like voiding the rescinding it and things like that. So that's interesting. But I guess that also keeps the limitations then to the voting and proposals where it's still on ETH and we still have to face the challenges of gas and things like that, right?
Yeah, that's still because the ecosystem is remaining on Ethereum because that's always where it was intended to be. And there might be, depending on what happens with Ethereum going forwards, from what I've heard, the whole the blob transactions and dank sharding is making good progress. And I think they were deliberating whether it would be considered as part of the next commitments. But yeah, that's obviously going its own way. So we didn't want to just port everything over and basically invalidate everything that we've already achieved.
Port.
Oh yeah, that was good. Very good. That was intentional.
Fair enough. There we go. Well, yeah, as I say, the socials are gone now. Look at that. I was about to say join there, but yeah, everything is pretty much just Walletport, Walletport.io, and Telegrams as well, and also the Twitters. Thanks everybody for questions in the comments. Oh, look, Walletport's back. There we go. But yeah, do like and subscribe. We'll be sure to keep you updated and have another one of these before the WEN token launch. But yeah, thanks so much for joining, to our guests and to the audience. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Everyone, see ya.